that changes our whole approach. I mean, I've said this before, got me in trouble a couple of times. People say, well, what do you think about depleted uranium? I said, well, it depends when you ask me the question, to be honest. Because if you ask me the question while a T-72 tank or T-80 tank is bearing down on me, I love depleted uranium, best friend. Because depleted uranium allows me to reach out and touch that tank at a long distance, terminate it. If it comes in close, I can bring in A-10s with 30 millimeter DU rounds, pop, 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 pop through it. I can bring out 25 millimeter Bushmasters on my M2s or my LAV-25s, pop, 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 and I'm killing tanks left and right. I love depleted uranium. Now, ask me after the war, especially if I was in an M1 Abrams with a friendly fire incident where my depleted uranium armor got hit by a depleted uranium penetrator from another M1 Abrams, creating a cloud of radioactive dust that I've now inhaled into my body. And I've gone home and I've made love to my wife, and she's given birth to formed children. And not only have I infected my wife, but I've infected my kids and I'm dying myself. I suddenly am not a fan of depleted uranium. I'm suddenly saying, wow, that's a horrific cost, a price I paid. And then if you ask me if I'm somebody who goes back to Iraq afterwards and I have a conscience and I take a look at the consequences of this, is it suddenly worth killing tanks? Is there a better way to kill tanks? I'll give the answer. The answer is yes. You want to know why we know? The Russians used to use depleted uranium penetrators. The Soviets did back in the day to kill our tanks. Because again, the best killer tank had a depleted uranium penetrator. But my God, we always pick on the Russians. We always do. But sometimes they do amazing things. Like they actually sat down and went, depleted uranium is bad for the environment. And we have a moral obligation not to corrupt the environment. So our new anti-tank, we're going to get rid of all the old depleted uranium rounds, and we're going to put in new tungsten penetrators. Now, some people will say, well, that's more expensive, and it may not be as effective. And the Russians are like, well, we'll make it effective, and the price is okay, because the price we pay for an additional round, to make this round non-radioactive, is worth it, because the concept that the price we pay for using depleted uranium is huge. They don't want it. The Russians have purged it from their system. They've recognized that using depleted uranium is bad for the environment, bad for health, and now they're irritated because the British are providing depleted uranium to the Ukrainians to use against Russians and on soil that is, of interest to Russia. If not, because it's Mother Russia, depending on where they're fighting in the Donbass, or if it's Ukraine with fellow Slavs. They don't want this poison in their environment. They've made it quite clear that this is an escalation. Now, what's Russia going to do about it? I don't know. They've been in the escalation management business for a long time, which means they're not going to, take a provocation and step it up. And what I mean by that, anybody expecting a Kinzhal missile to impact, Big Ben, it's not going to happen. Not on this issue. But it is a provocation. I mean, they basically made it clear they don't want depleted uranium on, Slavic soil. They don't want that. They don't want this to turn into a miniature Kosovo. They don't want it to turn into a Basra or Fallujah. They don't want that to happen at all. And yet the British have decided they're going to thumb their nose and send it anyways.
Well,